Hey guys, it's June 3rd. We're already in the summer. I cannot believe it. Today we have three things we're going to be going over. We're going to talk a lot about the Liberty Box. Then I'm going to be auctioning off some quilts for the Robb School Memorial Fund for Uvalde. And then after that, we're going to have our Block 5 tutorial on Heartfelt. And that one, I came up with a lot of tips to show you, so that'll be fun. So we're going to start off with the Liberty Box. Now, I can't show you inside the box at all, but what I can tell you is this is half sold out. So it's available for pre-order. All the information is online, but I'm not going to show you what's in it, but I'll show you the little design that's inside. So that's a little hint for you. This is our annual box that's filled with mystery items themed with stars and stripes, including a special quilt pattern that you will love from seam to shining seam. Now this one, what we did this year to be different is we made the quilt pattern meet the fabric standard size for Quilts of Valor. So the pattern size is 57 by 67, and then in honor of the men and women who have served in the United States of America with courage and selfishness, we will donate a portion of the proceeds of each box, up to $7,500, to the Quilts of Valor Foundation. The mission of Quilts of Valor is to cover service members and veterans touched by war with comforting and healing quilts of valor. So these are some pictures that we got from Quilts of Valor, but it is half sold out. So I would expect by Tuesday it'll probably be sold out. That would be my guess. We were hoping it wasn't sold out for today so that at least we could tease it, because sometimes it sells out before we can even tease it. So now we're going to move to a section where we are auctioning off quilts for Uvalde. The school shooting in Uvalde has left us in shock. We are saddened by the deaths and suffering of innocent children, teachers, and families. And we're from Texas. We want to help our fellow Texans in the wake of this devastating tragedy, for the victims and their families, and for the survivors. We're auctioning off the 4 quilts that I just got back. All of the proceeds at the end of the eBay auction will go to the Robb School Memorial Fund, which will go to the victims and their family. The bids will end not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. We have the link below, and there's 4. So I'm going to show you each of them. And so the way it's going to work is we're going to get the money from the bids, and then we're going to write a check. And of course, Kevin and I are going to add to that donation amount. So the first quilt, move these out of the way, let's see. This is the first quilt. And I did show these all last week. So this is the chicken salad quilt. It's 64 by 80, and it is using 12 quilt blocks from the Farm Girl Vintage 1 and Farm Girl Vintage 2 books by Lori Holt. And we put rickrack in there, and then on the back there's a horizontal backing with one of my labels. And all 4 of these quilts I did make. So that's the first one. This is the one that's getting the highest number of bids. It's really fun to watch. So that's the first quilt that we are donating. The quilt with the second most number of bids is this one. It's also Lori's design. It is the Flea Market Baskets quilt, and this one we put Cloud Vintage trim in the binding. And these are the basket blocks from the flea market book, and Lori did a free quilt setting for it. And I'll show you the label on the back. But I kind of thought, well, these are the 4 most recent quilts, so I felt like since you'd seen them recently, you'd get the most, we get the most amount of bids, and this one has one of my labels in it. And this one's 56 by 70. This next one I thought would have the highest number of bids, but it doesn't yet. And this is my favorite one out of all of them. So this one is the brick house pattern that's free from Fat Quarter Shop. So it's a free pattern, and I made this using scraps from all of my quilts from the beginning of the year. Now I love this quilt. This is my favorite one I'm auctioning off, so I'm gonna actually remake this. I'm not gonna make it in these fabrics. I'm gonna make it using scraps going forward, and so that I will have one, and I'll try to do the backing similar. So this one is 62 by 66, and it is a scrappy quilt from, let's see how many blocks there are. 16 different fabric collections. So that is the 3rd quilt. And then the next quilt is designed by Pat Sloan. And then this one has a 108 backing. This fabric collection is also cookbook, but I just picked 4 fabrics from that collection of Lori's. And this is the Sweet Dreams pattern. It finishes 60 by 72. This is, let's see, this is a free pattern from Pat Sloan. And this one just got quilted. This one has a smaller quilt label that I'm going to show you. And Pat is also going to be showing these in one of her videos, I believe next Tuesday. So this one has a label that's sewn on top. It's not sewn directly in. So this one's a little bit different. So those are the 4 quilts. So those are the 4 quilts. Please bid today, and all that money is going to go to the Robb School Memorial Fund. And now we're going to take a quick break because I need to change the set so that we can do our Heartfelt Charity donation quilt. So we'll be right back. guys, so we had to grab the iron, the cutting mat, all of those things. One question we did get is, will we be doing anything for breast cancer in October? And we absolutely are, and we're going to be doing that in collaboration with Lori Holt. And so yes, we're always trying to do good for everyone. So now we're going to move to the Heartfelt Block 5. This is raising money for Make-A-Wish. Our goal is to raise $100,000. So we're $15,000 short, but we will somehow make that up. And even if Kevin and I have to pay the difference. But at the end of this, we are going to be auctioning 4 quilts. I'm going to auction my quilt, the one that I make on camera. Corey Yoder, who's the designer of the fabric and the designer of the quilt, is going to auction hers. Pat Sloan of I Love to Make Quilts, and Lisa Bonjean of Primitive Gatherings. So that'll be something to look forward to hit our milestone. At the end of this video, I am going to show you blocks from other designers. And so now I'm going to kind of talk about Heartfelt. So we're on block 5. And one thing that I always mention is before I do any block, I stop and read the instructions. So this morning I came in and looked at it, and we've got one fabric that's for the outside, which is our background. Our star prints I put on a board, and those are right here. And then we have heart prints, which are the center, and they're right here. And then we have a different white on white for the center. And when I was looking at this, I wanted to think of things I could teach. So I'm going to talk about hourglass blocks, and I'm going to talk about, basically I'm going to cut this a 1/4 inch larger. And when we get to this step, I'm going to talk through how you can figure out the math that I use. Then from there, the heart, those are just corner squares. So this is I would say, intermediate quilt block. So A, C, and E are hourglass. So I'm going to put a note on A, C, and E. And I'm going to just cut that 6 1/2. Right there it says 6 1/4. But anytime you're doing hourglass, just cut it bigger, and I will talk through that math in a little bit. So what I've done is I have everything labeled here. And so we'll move it to the board once I cut. And I'm going to talk through kind of how I got my fabric together this morning. And I just pulled this from the box. So this is my background fabric. The next board has my star print fabrics. The next design board has my heart print fabrics. And then the last board has my accent background. And you're going to see that we're getting down to smaller cuts, but I'm still going to show you how to do that. So I'm going to kind of move these out of the way and start with fabric A and fabric B. So when you're looking at this, we're going to need one strip that's 6 1/2 inches wide and 2 strips that are 4 inches wide. Now, because I've got this right sides together and 2 stacked, I'm going to first cut 2 4-inch strips first, and those are going to be for the corner of your stars. So I'm going to cut a 4-inch strip. So there's the 4-inch, and accuracy in cutting is going to give you accuracy in piecing. Now from there I need one 6 1/2 inch strip. It does say 6 1/4, but like I said, I always cut bigger on hourglass blocks. So I'm going to cut this 6 1/2. And then what I can do, this is left over, so this will be used for block 6 next week or next month. So I'll set that aside in my box. I'll move this one. So we need 24-inch squares. So from here, I'm going to cut off all the salvages over here, and you can tell it kind of, it's a lot. So I'll cut that off. And then I'm going to cut 5 times 4 inches. So when I'm cutting, I am checking all 3 sides. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 4. 8, 12, 16, and hopefully I have enough to get to 20. I don't. Let's see. Oh, exactly enough. So what I'm going to do is put all of these right side up, just because it's going to make it easier for me later. And these are my fabric B's. So I'll put those on my design board with the letter B. From fabric A, we need 5 6.5-inch squares. So on this one, I'm going to cut, that's 2, 4. I'm going to save this one for my box, put it in my box so that if I need it later. And then 5. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stack them together. And because I'm cutting mine larger than you need, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, because you're going to have some give, you're going to have a little bit of room for mistakes. So that's why I'm stacking them, and I'm going to cut them in 4ths, which is step 1. But because I already looked at my pattern and put the circle right here, I know that I'm going to do that on A, C, and E. So I've already done that. So that's A. Now, if you didn't cut these larger, I would not cut that way, because you're not going to have enough room for give. So that's your fabric A. Now C and E. Well, okay, so let's go to C. We need 2 6.5-inch squares from each fabric from our fabric C's, which are right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here are the fabrics. And what I'm going to do, as you can see, these have all been used. I'm going to try to find a corner that has enough to do 2 6.5. So that looks like it's going to work. So there's 5 fabrics. So I'm actually going to put this one down here. And I am going to show you, last month I made a mistake on camera and I switched 2 of the fabrics, and it's okay. I'm just going to leave the block like it is. I noticed it when I got home. So now I need 2 6.5-inch squares. So I'm going to do it the easy way. I'll subcut that down in a second. And then I'll put these in my box for later. Now, of course, you could have done it a different way to maximize, but we give you plenty of fabric so that you don't have to worry about that. So on here, just finish cutting them into squares, and then cut on the diagonal twice. When you're cutting on the diagonal, try to get, what I do is I put my ruler at this point. I don't even pay attention to this point. Put your rotary blade right here and hold it. That's going to keep the bottom of your ruler in place, and you can move the ruler instead of trying to line up both at the same time. So like here, and then cut. And here I'm actually going to stack all my fabrics together because it's going to make piecing easier as you go, and it'll also make sure that I don't have anything miscut, like anything, like I didn't cut anything short, that kind of thing. Okay, so here, and then the same thing. And I'll answer some questions as we go. I haven't been to my retreat yet, so I haven't completed that. I am going to be making the snail trail paper, the quilt, so that's kind of what I had started and shown. So I've answered those two. Let's see, do I cut straight of grain? I cut, just like I do, I cut across the, I don't ever really pay attention to that. I just cut, I guess I just cut the way I just showed you. I just cut in a square and then go, this is, so here, you can, this is the bias because it pulls. No, this is the bias because it pulls. This is the bias, and then this is the straight of grain. So these are going to be my C's. So I'll just stack them. Why don't I make quilts that are bed size? I just make what I like, and a lot of people don't want to make quilts that are queen, king. They're just too big. What country are 108 made, and which countries are 44-inch made? 108s used to be made in Pakistan. I'm not sure where they're made now. And all those can be deleted. And then Korea and Japan make 44-inch wide. Now from my D, I need 2 3 by 5.5 inch rectangles. So this one's going to be where I need to put it all on one corner. So I'm going to have to figure this out. So I'm going to start with my bigger pieces. So these two corners are clean. And so since I need 2 3 by 5.5, I basically need a 6 by 5.5. So I need about this much right there. So let's see. And then let's see, put that there. Probably put that there. Okay, so what I'm going to cut is, first, I'm just going to cut a little square off so that I have fabric to work with. And then I need 6 inches. And you can tell right there it's a little curved. It's not perfectly cut. So I'm going to go back. And cut it again. So I'm going to do 6 inches this way. And then I need 5.5. And then 3 inches. So basically this is 6 inches wide, this is 5.5 inches wide. And these are going to be the hearts that go in the center, and we're going to be adding corner squares like around here and here. But I'm going to put them together so they're easy to find. There will be a show on how to cut and piece the backing. Yes, there will be. So these are my D's. And then here, this is cut in half. So this one I have to kind of think out. But I need 5 6.5-inch squares, 10 3-inch squares, 10 2-inch squares, and 10 1.5-inch squares. So what I'm going to do is put the salvages together, and I'm going to put both fabrics right side up so I don't have to flip them later. And the first thing I'm going to cut is a 6.5-inch strip. So first cut a 6.5-inch strip. And then I'm going to need a 3-inch and a 2-inch. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those, and then I'm going to save the 1.5 because I think I might be able to get that from leftovers from the other strips. I don't even think I need a full one for this. So I'm going to actually cut a 2-inch, 1 strip. And hopefully I can get it from here, but if not, I've got extra fabric that I just put aside. So for the E's, I need 5 6.5. So this is going to be 4. The Great Granny Quilt Along. I want you to watch Lori's video that she puts out today. She's going to give you all the dates and everything for that sew along. So it does start this month though. So this is the 6.5, and like I said, we're making these bigger, so I'm going to cross cut these. What's my favorite go-to neutral? 20708-36. That is a dot that I just keep having reprinted. So this is my E. And then I need 10 3-inch squares. So I'm just going to turn this around and cut. Now I do have this left over from the previous piece, so we'll probably cut into that in a second. So let's see. So I'll just cut this and then turn around and subcut it into 6. So we need 10 3-inch squares. So this will be 4. This will be 8. And then I need 2 more, and that's going to be my F's. For G, I need 10 2-inch squares. So I'm actually going to just cut those from here. And I'll just cut them. Let's see, I need 10. Let's see. Do I usually cut my block pieces as you go, or you cut all at once and then sew? I usually cut all at once and sew. The bottom question's already answered too. Will I do any tutorials on crocheting? No, I'm not going to do any crochet tutorials. There's already a crochet tutorial on our channel that Lori has done. There's actually 4 on our channel that she's done, and she's done plenty on her channel. So there's plenty out there already. 4, 5, that's 6. This will be 9. And this will be 10. So these are my G's. So yeah, when I'm cutting at home, I usually just cut just like this. Now I might cut the whole quilt at one time, I might not, it kind of depends. Now from here I have this left over and this left over. So I'm going to try to cut my 1.5-inch squares from this. So I'm going to cut a 6-inch square. We'll see how many 1.5. I should be able to do this in my head, but I'll probably do it wrong. So I'm going to just do it here. So what I do, and this is how I do it at home, I'm just going to cut. I basically started with a 6-inch square. I'm cutting at every 1.5 inches, and we'll just cut until we have enough. I need 10, so there's 4. 8. And then, so I'm gonna have extras, and I'll just leave them in my box. I'm actually gonna just cut these 2 down. So this is 10. So this is H. So now what I'm going to show you how I have everything on my board. It doesn't have to be alphabetically in order or anything like that. Just leave it like this. This board is like, it's sailing today. So I'm going to do, we're going to make 4. Well, first we're going to figure out what fabrics we're using in this first block. So we're using this one and this one. So luckily those are already right there. So we're going to make 4. I need a small design board, please. Thanks. So we're going to make 4 of these. So I'm going to lay them out the way that I would at home. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to make A. We're going to take fabric A's. And this is kind of the harder part of today, is really the hourglass, which I don't even consider them hard, but okay, so this is an hourglass unit, an hourglass unit, an hourglass unit, and an hourglass unit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my sewing machine. I'm going to put these 2 right sides together like that and like that, and we're going to sew down here. And then I'm going to cut it apart. I'm going to leave these chained together, but then I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to start. So I'm going to make all of them just like this, and I'll show you at the machine how to do that. So you can pin if you want. I'm not going to pin today just because I know I'm trimming these down. I use a 1/4 inch foot, and I'm going to stitch. And that's 1. And you can see it's like that. So from here, I'm going to just put these back on the board, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. I'm actually going to use the seam press roller so that it doesn't take too long to do the demo. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to do all 4 separately. I'm gonna do the last one. And keeping them chained together just helps you keep your pieces together. So from here, when I go back to the table, I'll be at the iron. So from here, instead of stopping and going to iron, I'm just going to gently press right here. I'm not even going to press all the way, just to press towards the red or the darker, whatever darker fabric. Get those pressed down and then just nest your seam right here and pin. And then I'm going to pin at each end, and that way when we go back, all we have to do is press it and then trim it down. And this is actually the hardest part of this quilt. Customers are saying there's a mistake. Okay, I don't know where the mistake is. So do y'all want to be more specific? Tell me where the mistake is. Can I see the pattern? I'm going to keep going. I have plenty of fabric, so once we figure out what the mistake is, we'll figure it out. And I do look to make sure the points match before I go press, so I don't have to come back to the machine. So those two match. I need a fabric E. Oh, I messed up. I'm supposed to put an E on the bottom. Oh, yeah, I do. Okay. Well, we're going to fix that. Okay, so to fix that, super easy. What I'm going to do is work some magic. And we're going to just press these. Because these, we're going to make 4 of these, and then I've got to fix the E. So from here, I'm going to actually just cut some more instead of ripping parts apart. So I need some more red and some more of this. So these two I'm just going to get rid of because I can pull the stitches out, but I don't have time to do that on camera. So from here, I need this fabric. So from here, these 4 will still work. We'll have to cut 4 of these off camera and add them to the stack, but we'll do that later. So from here, I'm just gonna cut a 6.5. Okay, and that exactly right there is why we give you extra fabric in your kit. So I think what I do now is pay attention. Pay attention, my attention is a, sorry, I'm singing a Basie Boy song. Okay, E right there. So I've already got these sewn. Now I'm gonna sew these. And I'm going to use the seam press and then put them together. And thank you for telling me. Am I doing Pat Sloan's summer camp along? I don't know. I need to look at what it is. Socialites will begin in the fall. Okay. So that was a great example of going too fast. Okay, so from here, I'm going to do that same thing. Just press in that little intersection. And then we'll join those together, doing the same thing, just pinning in the center. When this first came out, I didn't think I would really use it as much as I do use it. So it's kind of like one of those things that I use way more than I thought I was going to. So like I said, this is going to be the hardest part. So maybe that's the reason it's going to be the hardest part, is because I'm going to make a mistake. Okay. Now these are bias seams, so they can get kind of stretchy. I usually pull my pin out right when I get to it. And then we'll almost be halfway done when we're here. But yes, when I am cutting this at home, I cut the entire thing all at one time instead of block by block. Okay, cut these apart. There's just a lot of stuff over here on this table. Okay. Iron's not working. Oh, I think I pulled it on the jack. It's like all twisted up today. Okay, press that down. Press to one side. On this one, it doesn't matter what side you press to. And you don't have to cut the dog ears off because we're going to trim it down. Is there a place on the website that lists Kimberly's favorite white backgrounds? Okay, 20708-36. That's the one I'm using the most, but there is a blog post on it also. So if you go to the Jolly Jabber, just search backgrounds maybe. If you find a great background and don't have a project, what would you buy? I'd buy 5 yards. Okay. So from here, I'm going to use the rotating mat. Okay, so first, these should be 5.5 inches, but we made ours bigger. So what I'm going to do is take a 5.5 inch square ruler, and I'm going to, the Creative Grids rulers have a little circle. It's like a little circle right there. It's hard to see on the white on the camera because it's white. So what I do is line up this full line, the circle, and then right here my points are not exact, so I need to twist it a little bit. So I want a point here, 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 and here. I'm going to cut 2 sides. And you can rotate this, but I just do this. It's easier. And so then it comes out perfectly 6.5, but right there, I noticed my pressing is not great, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna fix it and then trim it again. And we're gonna also trim this down in a second, but I wanted, and I could actually do this quicker, a different way, but I don't wanna skip a step and mess up. So first we're gonna trim these down. Now we wrote the instructions to not trim down. So you can either do it the way I'm doing it, but I never do hourglass and not cut down. And it's just one of the things that I do to be really accurate. I'm kind of a creature of habit on stuff. And we did get questions if we're gonna make hourglass paper, and we're not, because this is kind of the foolproof way to make hourglass. I don't feel like you really need the paper. Is the new 1/4 inch foot available for Juki? The Juki is a low shank machine, and but they do have, I own a Juki, they have a great 1/4 inch that has a guide. So just buy the baby lock 1/4 inch with a guide, and it works great because I have a baby lock also. Okay, one more. I'm making a mess today. I'm sorry. I'm like, I even threw my necklace on the floor. I'm just like hot mess express. Okay. Let's see. One more side. Okay, so that's how I do hourglass. Now I'm going to talk about the math on an hourglass block. If you take your finished size, so this block in the pattern is unfinished, 5.5. So if it's 5.5 unfinished, it's 1/2 inch shorter is the finished size. So this is 5 inches finished. If you want to know what size to cut this, you take the finished size, which again 5 inches, plus 1 1/4 if you want to make them exact. If you want to do Kimberly's way, you cut it 1 1/2, and that gives you like 1/8 of an inch to trim on each side. So again, when you're doing hourglass, in your mind, you take the finished size, which is 1/2 inch smaller than the unfinished, and I always just add 1 1/2 inches and then trim down like I just showed you. But from here, we do need to trim the fabric E side, which of course I just totally almost messed up, and we're gonna trim it 4 inches right here. So it should be 4. So you're gonna cut on this side, not on this side. It looks like I'm doing it right. Yeah, and then we're gonna discard this. So, and this is just a trick so that you can get it, this is just a trick to give you a really pretty block without having to do crazy piecing right here. So 4 inches, and I turned it this way because visually, that's the way it works for me. I would have probably made all my blocks wrong and then got to like block 3 and then, okay. So those are our trimmed down hourglasses. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna just put these on the board because they're done. But from here, we're gonna make 1 left heart, and 1 right heart. Actually, this is left and this is right. Let me put them here so you can see. This is left heart, right heart. So I'm going to pull the fabric D's and I'm going to put them right here, left and right. Now I need to draw on the wrong side of 2 G's, 2 H's, and 2 F's. So these are the G's. I'm only going to do the, let's see, so these are the G's. And I like to use a friction pen. I know it's kind of like one of those hot topics. Some people hate them. I say use whatever you want in your sewing room that you like. The H's are here. Lori, you're so funny. She said I'm doing great per usual. I know. I need to go see Lori. I need to get out of here. I need to get out of town. My kid on Monday, no, Tuesday. Well, we were with our kids Monday, but Tuesday I had all these appointments. So I would like go to my appointment, come home, go to my appointment, come home. And one of my kids, who shall remain nameless, was driving me crazy. And I was like, it is the first day of summer and you're already driving me crazy. He's like, it's the 5th day. I'm like, no, it's not the 5th day. But today at our neighborhood pool, they're having a party and I think I'm gonna make them go. Okay, so from here, I like to use glue. And there's a question about duck pleats, and I'm gonna answer that when I iron next. That'll be a great thing to do. I'm gonna put these right here because I'm not gonna be able to do those until I iron the next piece. And I just want to make sure it's right on that corner. And if you guys have tried this glue, let me know what you think. I'm loving it. Let's see. Okay. So this is going to be, so what I'm going to do is put an open toe foot, stitch directly on the line. Now, let me show you something. If you don't stitch directly on that line, if you stitch too far this way, it's not going to go over correctly. If you stitch too far this way, it's going to be too big. So you got to stitch directly on that line. So from here, I need to add these two, but to save time, I'm going to trim a 1/4 inch away. And I just, by using my design board, I just put it right back to where it was on the design board. From here, we're gonna press to the, this one you press to the outside. So I'm just gonna put a little press right in that corner, and I'll come back later with the iron and get it nice, and I'll show you how to kind of trim off the edges too. So this is gonna go here, and I'll finish this one when we come back because I'm gonna do it all at one time. Oh, and then thank you for the super chat, Hyun Jean Kim. I just finished the top before live stream. It was a mess. Then I realized how much my quilt skills improved after Livestream. I learned so many things. I don't even use a machine at all. Thank you, Kimberly and FQS crew. Well, thank you. Okay, so now the others. Oh, and then thank you to the Bethola. The Bethola. Trim a 1/4 inch away. So here basically we're going to press this one towards the white, this one away from the white, this one towards the white, this one away from the white, so that our seams nest. Or you could press open. Do I think this is the hardest block of the quilt? Yes, probably. The next one is similar but a little bit easier. So to prevent a duck pleat, the first thing is set your seam, and then when you press, if you just press like, it'd probably be fine. But I want my crease or the edge of my iron to go right on that. The edge of the iron to go right on that. I think I did them opposite, but it's fine. I'll do the other one the other way. And then when you're looking at it, your fingers shouldn't go under it. And so it's really about your iron. And then this one I'll press the opposite way. Just getting that right on the crease. So this one one thing that also helps with that is finger pressing. I didn't finger press here because it's really hot, but just getting the iron right on that crease so it's flat. Okay, from here, what you can do is you can kind of trim this down if it's not exactly 3 by 5.5. So this is 5.5. I'm going to put on the 3-inch line. I'm not going to cut with this, that would not work. And then I'm going to cut that just so any extra pieces, so I didn't piece it 100% correctly, but that'll get kind of get it back to 3 by 5.5. So then you're going to put these right sides together. My grandkids asked, are you going to just watch her or make something? That's so funny. I watch so many true crime people. My kids are like, what are you doing? They think I'm crazy. I have to put my headphones on though because it's disturbing. But I'm hoping, there wasn't a new 2020 last week or a new Dateline, so I'm hoping there is one this week. So here what I've done is I've pinned in the 2 intersections, the top, and then this one because I don't want it to get wavy. It's kind of, I'll pull it, and then we're going to sew with a 1/4 inch seam. And then we're almost done. Okay, now here you can see it's a little bit kind of wavy. So I'm just going to pull right here. Pull this and it'll make it straighten out. And it should match. So from here, you can press to one side or press open. I'm gonna just press open. Set my seam. And see how it was a tiny bit wavy before I set the seam. And now it's not. And then here, if you just ironed right like that, you would have a duck pleat and your finger would go under it. Just put the iron right on the edge. Okay. So now we're going to lay our block out. Sorry. Someone in this room that's going to remain nameless almost fell down. So funny. Okay, so I'm going to lay my block out and then I'm going to take a drink of Starbucks because I'm thirsty. Okay. So I've got my white in the center, thanks to you guys. And I'm gonna put them right sides together, pin. We'll go to the sewing machine, sew down this way, and then I'm gonna add these pieces. And then we'll press, and then we'll do the last seam. So throw in any questions that you have. Someone's asking if I'm doing the Aditya Sitar Summer Mystery. No, I don't know about it. So usually I sew along with designers that send me this stuff, like to where I have enough time to make sure I have everything. But I'll go to her blog and look at it and see. What is my analysis of why I am fascinated with real crime? My mom used to always watch Cagney and Lacey or something like that. I don't know if it's that or my life's pretty boring. In fact, it's real boring. So it's the only excitement I have in my life is watching. But honestly, I like the psychology of it and like what can we do to make it go away or I find it interesting. Not in a good way, but just in a way that like the psychology part of how did that person become that way. So from here, I'll just pin as I go. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's probably some other things I probably don't want to say. We went to the bookstore last night and Emma's best friend's mom was telling me, oh, you should read this. You should read this. I said, oh, I don't read it unless it's true crime. And then I found a book and I was like, oh, I read this a long time ago. I was like, it's really old. It's from the 90s. And she's like, really? And then she looked and it was from the 90s and it was true crime. And she was like, okay. I think I probably read it after college. I used to read, but I don't anymore. So from here, we're gonna press towards the B, which is the background. So I can set the seams on both sides. When I'm working with a large piece of background, do I chop it into small lengths and starch? It depends. If it's a kit and I only have so much, then I do it as one piece. If it is something that I bought extra of, I'm gonna chop it up. And there is enough fabric in the kits, some of the kits there is not. It depends if we have designed the pattern, there's enough room in there. Have I watched the show Who Do You Believe? I started it and I didn't like it and I didn't finish. Will I ever have an embroidery project? Probably not. That's not kind of what we're known for, but I mean, never say never. I don't embroider, and I don't really see myself ever embroidering because it's very much art and freeform, and What do I drink from Starbucks? I drink iced tea. Do I have any thoughts on Johnny Depp? I would just say my word for that would be mockery of justice. I think that the judge let both of them go on too long. There are lots of cases that are much more serious than that, who the judge says you get 4 hours. So I think it was just, you know, just too much. Have I watched? Oh yeah, I've answered those. Okay, so throw in any other questions because we're getting to the end. And I'm just pinning each intersection, each end. And right here, you're seeing this one right here, that little, I'm gonna cut that. I don't want that extra dog ear in there. It's just gonna add bulk to the back, or bulk to the block. So, and then after this video, we have one more block. We have a finishing, and then we have a backing tutorial. So there's a lot more videos in this. And we're gonna show all the quilts, all the sample makers quilts, my quilt, and like I said, we're auctioning off 4 quilts at the end for Make-A-Wish. And so then I'll sew with a 1/4 inch seam and then just sew on the other side. And then I am gonna look before to make sure everything lines up. And actually, just like today's going, I didn't even pin right here and it lined up. I didn't know I was supposed to, and I didn't know I was supposed to pin here, but it lined up. So, woo, we got lucky. I'm a little off today. Okay, so I like this block because the center's bigger, so it's easier to add the sides. And then, so there, just kind of finger press it before you press the whole thing. Oh, I got lucky. I think I was talking too much. Oh, I got lucky. Woo. Now I'm going to trim the outside, just to get the little threads off. And I sewed pretty good because that's not too much coming off. And then I'm going to show you on my boards what I'm going to do as I'm finishing it. And then what I like about this quilt is, number one, we're raising money for a really positive charity, but number two, we get to sew it all year, so it's not too overwhelming. So because I bought the quilt kit, I got the full pattern. So I'm gonna just show you a couple of the boards, but what I'm doing is, as I sew a block, I add it to the row. So this is row 1. So kind of like row 1, that's that, this, and then now I can add this to the bottom. And not only can I add this to the bottom, I'll also add this sashing rectangle. So when I get to the end, so I'm actually going to just put this on this board because that's where it goes. But then I have board 1, board 2, and I keep them stacked. 1 on top, 2, 3, 4. So you can kind of see. and then 5. And the one mistake I made is last week I switched out one of the fabrics. I think I have 2 of the fabrics switched, so whoever gets my auction quilt, you'll know it's mine because the fabric is so where I should have pinned is right here. I should have pinned at these intersections, and I should have pinned right here, but I didn't, and it worked, so that's good. I'm going to show you the other designers blocks, the other sample maker blocks. The first one is Seashore Dry Fabric by Sherry and Chelsea. Carrie is making these. And she is adding Aura Floss. I think she's using 6 strands. That's funny. Pokey Little Pineapple says Juki needs a faster machine for Kimberly and name it the Tornado. Well, actually, Kevin just went to a trade show, and I don't know. I'm kind of looking at maybe getting an industrial one so I can go faster. So this is Seashore Drive. I do know the colors of next year's quilt. It's not going to have red in it, I can tell you that. It is going to be the same fabric designer though, and it's going to look totally different. This is Flirt Collection by Sweetwater for Moda. Elva made these. So next year's I'm putting these sideways, sorry. Next year's blocks, next year's quilt's going to look different. It's not designed yet, but I have picked the fabric collection, and I think everybody's going to like it. We do try to make everything different year to year. Sometimes we do use the same designers because we're picking from the same months. Okay, this next fabric collection is Bonjour du Jour. French General's the designer, and Lori in customer service made these. And we'll do the same thing next year where we, you know, make blocks and color them and all of that. And when they finish these, we're going to get them all quilted so you can see them quilted. And then this next collection is One Fine Day by Maudie and Camille. And Riley sewed this one. Can we zoom out a little bit? I was trying to make them all show together, but I don't think I gave enough space. Oh, we can't zoom out anymore, sorry. We can do that. I'm trying to make them all, there you can kind of see them. And then the next collection is Love Note by Layla Boutique. And Deborah from customer service made these. And I love this fabric right here. I should buy a bolt of it before it's gone. It's probably already gone. Okay, so those are the blocks. I'm gonna pile them back up, and then I'm gonna tell you about next week. So next week we have a designer coming from June Taylor. She's going to be doing a lot of different techniques for our channel that we've never done before. And next week's live stream is going to be a preview of what you can look forward to. And I'm really excited about it because it's different techniques that I don't usually do. And so I think it's going to bring something really different to our channel. I'm super excited. Her name is Jill Rep, and she's from June Taylor. And so next week we'll have a live stream where we kind of show the stuff that you can look forward to. I did want to show you this. So I wanted to let you know on Heartfelt, we also have a free cross stitch, and this is now available. Now for next month, this will be the last one. Now I started this early because I always stitch it early, but I'm going to finish this one and I'm going to frame it. I think I'm going to put a frame where you can really see the gingham on the outside. And I just wanted to show you this in case you wanted to make one of these. So this is a a cross stitch based on the quilt. And since today's live stream was going to be so long, I didn't pull too many what's new things. But I did want to tell you Tiny Beast from Tula Pink is shipping. If you pre-ordered the Fat Quarter Bundle, that will be shipping in 1 to 2 weeks because that has not arrived yet. But the half yards bundles, 1 yard bundles, and yardage have arrived. So that has started shipping, and Threads That Bind is now in stock. I wanted to show you this. This is called Beyond Bella. It's a new collection. It's basically Bella solids with an off-white point on off-white, sorry, it's an on-point crosshatch. And this is the white one. This is 16740 color 200. So that means they took Bella Solid 9900-200 and printed on top of it. So if you're looking for a Bella that has a little bit of movement to it, I wanted to let you know that this did come in. The pre-cuts are not here, but the yardage is. And there's 30 colors. And then I'm going to answer questions. Okay. Do I have any crime movies or show recommendations? Last night I finished on HBO. There was a documentary that came out last year about a church in Tennessee, and they added 2 episodes. I watched that last night. That was pretty good. There was somebody who recommended Under the Banner of Heaven. Now, I didn't watch that because it is a drama. So I didn't watch it, but I read the book years and years ago. I think that book is from the 90s. So I know that whole story, but I only watch if it is a documentary or if it's factual. So there hasn't been that much good stuff out. I did notice this morning Netflix put out something on a crime in Norway, and I'm going to watch it. Yeah. Could we have donated to receive the full pattern at once? No, what we do to raise money is if you buy the quilt kit from us at the very beginning, you get the full pattern. That's the only way to get the full pattern. When will I show an update on all of my blocks in progress? In 2 weeks. So the reason I haven't done it is because I have a lot going on, but I haven't really sewn anything, and I'm planning to sew a lot of stuff when I go to my retreat. It's not even for a couple of weeks, but I will show block updates. I just don't want to do that like every week because I feel like it's boring. What is the difference between woven and quilting cotton? Can you mix the fabrics? So woven is much more loose and thinner, but you can mix them. Okay, so on Tiny Beasts, half yards, 1 yard, yardage, shipping now. If you bought a Fat Quarter Bundle of either colorway, those are shipping when they arrive. So Free Spirit had a delay in those getting to us because there are all kinds of shipping delays and all kinds of things going on in the world with freight companies. So a lot of the delays are out of our control right now. How do I get the back of my cross stitch neat? Oh my gosh. Okay, watch our Cross Stitch University series on our show on our FlossTube channel, but I'll show you a little thing on the back of it real quick. So when I'm done, I just run my stitches through about 5. I start with the loop method, which I show on my channel. But I also, at the end, I just pull through 5 stitches and cut right to the tip. And I use these scissors because they're very sharp and they get right to it. Or the Sweet Snip scissors because they get, so I don't like to use scissors that are not sharp because then you're going to have loose ends. Is it okay to store fabric in plastic Ziploc? Yeah, I think so. Someone said they loved my AMA video. Oh, thank you. I didn't really know what to say. I have some funny stories. I mean, I have a friend that was like, you could, I mean, I really, like if y'all knew my real life, I could write a book on the craziness of my life. I have some crazy stories, but I don't know that I want to share those on here. Valeria Bauer, thank you so much for the super chat. You're amazing. So guys, join us next week. We're going to have a new guest, and it's going to be totally awesome. And I will show you block progress. It'll just be in 2 weeks. So have a great weekend.